Hey friend, this is Making Dough Show where we talk about making dough in the restaurant business. My name's Hengam and my husband and I own a couple restaurants in the San Antonio area, and our boat is swimming in the same oceans as you, going through a tough season, as you know. And today I'm here talking about April's marketing. So this is going to be a planning session that you and I are going to talk together a little bit. I'm hoping to kind of present some questions, different things, so we can figure out what we need to focus on to come out stronger. We are ourselves in Texas, so we still have pickup and delivery as of now. We do not know what next week holds, and currently there are rumors that it seems like this whole fiasco is going to be continuing going on till the end of April. And these are the cards we've been dealt with. This industry has always been hard, and you and I still signed up for it. So we are here, and my focus today is talking about different ways we're going to come out strong. So when this whole thing goes away, we've set a foundation. Again, I'm always looking into how are we going to continue to grow our sales even at times like this. As always, I'm open to your suggestions. Always, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on all the stuff we're talking about and how we're going to crush our sales together in this season. So let's get right into it. So we're talking about, again, April restaurant marketing, and this is our planning session. All right. So always when we start our planning sessions, when we're looking ahead to the next month, depending on when you're watching this or you're listening to this podcast, we need to go back to evaluate where we are and set the goal of where we want to be. And we're going to look into how we're going to get there, right? This is just a basic planning that we have. I've been coming to you on the first day of every single month in 2020. We've been setting a Q1 2020 sales goal. You most likely had that when we started this year. So hopeful. We're going to crush our sales. This is going to be a fantastic year. And here we are, right? So I wanted you to please revisit what is your Q1 2020 sales goal. What was that number? I'd like to revisit that and write it down. Before I forget, also we have a workbook for you that you can download in the description down below. The second thing we're going to look into is we're going to look at our March 2019 sales, and we're going to compare it to March 2020 sales. And you may or may not see a sales dip thanks to Corona, and it is important for us to know our numbers. What was that sales dip? Because that's going to kind of give us an idea of maybe what to expect this next month. We can expect things, but this whole thing is so unexpected going on. So, but you know what I mean. Now, if we have got to set a sales goal for April. I know what you're saying. Well, we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know what the future holds, and we can't predict nothing. Correct. We still need to have a sales goal. From there, we got to budget different things for the restaurant because that's just the way it is that we need to do. And so this episode is sponsored by Making Dough Texting. Making Dough Texting is a branch of Making Dough Show where we serve restaurants with text message marketing. Especially in this time, you will hear me over and over. It is critical for us to be directly communicating with our customers, whether being via text or being it via email or mailer if you can afford that. But texting is very effective. It is relatively very affordable. And we've done texting for our restaurants for the past 5 years, and we've over tripled our sales in the last 5 years, and we continue to grow our sales. And we've seen some days where we had a lot of redemptions on our text message, depending on the deals we sent and stuff, even in the month of March as we've gone through this fiasco. If you need me to help you with your texting, you want to try it, you want to set it up, especially if you're sitting on thousands of your customers' phone numbers in your POS system, reach out to me and I will be happy to help you out. And please download the workbook that comes with this. It's a free, like a worksheet kind of a thing. It's just 8 pages, not really that long. You can just download that and fill it in the blank as we go, because this is going to be probably a couple hours of your time. You sitting and you need to be thinking about how you're going to strategize and approach the month of April 2020. It's going to be a special month. All right. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube as well as on all podcast platforms. I would love to stay in touch with you. So It is what it is, as I mentioned, and our strategy is going to be hoping for the best, but we have got to plan for the worst. So you need to be already thinking about what's the worst thing that can happen this month and how are you going to plan for that, right? Obviously, the worst thing could be that you may need to fully close your restaurant or sales is going to continue to go down and all of that. So plan for the worst, but hopefully we're going to hope for the best, right? That is our strategy here. And the way we view our role in the company is that, again, you are the captain of the ship that you're driving, or riding, I don't know, sailing or whatever. As the captain, you're the one who steers the direction of the company always. So what are you going to be working on this month that's going to have the most impact is a question I have for you. So that's a question you need to ask yourself. I'm working on different things for our restaurant. We have got to be nimble and have some innovative ideas. We're going to do things differently so we can continue to be in the forefront of our customers. If you don't know what to work on, I wanted to ask you, this is a fantastic time to do a SWOT analysis of your restaurant, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's kind of SWOT stands for. It's a classic method in analyzing a business, or again, crafting a strategy moving forward for your business. This is a classic one. We usually do that in the beginning of the year, every year, looking at our restaurants, what are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we could have had theories of it. Now that this whole fiasco is going on, we're more likely to actually see things we did not see, and it's probably happening to you as well with your business. Hopefully you know the strengths of your restaurants. I'm not going to go over that. I think some of us have maybe realized the weaknesses of our restaurant that we did not consider. And I'm going to go over some of the possibilities that maybe you're realizing are some of the weaknesses in your restaurant. Again, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. One is handling carry out and delivery. Many restaurants, especially a lot of full service, they were not set up to handle a large volume of pickup and delivery, because it's not just having to go boxes and setting food in boxes, but rather it has a lot of logistics in place. As you know, the wait time that is communicated, obviously the delivery has its own logistics, but even with the pickup, you've got to have a system. The phone system, people need to be very trained on how to handle phones. Again, you're going to have a very large volume of phone calls that are coming in. If you did not have a good process for your online ordering, for example, to lower the burden of the phones, that's a challenge right now that you may be seeing. Because when we drive around, there's a lot of steakhouses, there's a lot of places that they have fully shut down the restaurant. Or not, the parking lot is absolutely deserted and empty, and it's just sad. So that's one weakness for us. For example, we continue to have, by God's grace, we continue our Friday sales for the last couple weeks as we've gone through this shenanigan. We've had the same, more or less the same amount of sales. It used to be 50% dine-in and 50% out of the restaurant, but now it's 100% pickup and delivery. So that challenges, for example, the warmer space we have, or our front of the house being able to coordinate, making sure handing out every single item that the customer ordered, so there's full order accuracy, logistics, you know what I mean. So these have been some of the weaknesses that have surfaced up, and those are projects that are indicating to my husband and I, what are we going to be working on this month, this week, today. These are stuff we're working on. The other one challenge I see that I was approached by somebody who works for a large franchise company. I'm not going to name it. And their challenge is, because I was trying to talk to them about, this is the time to focus on your current customers. It's not going to be as effective getting new customers at this time, and they absolutely have no way of directly communicating with their customers. And I see that challenge with a lot of fine dining restaurants, or again, as I mentioned, steakhouses, a lot of full service restaurants, because they do not have a way of directly communicating. Like, you can send a direct email, you can send them a direct text message, or pick up the phone and call your customers one by one, right? Or you don't have their addresses. We are blessed to own pizzerias, so pizzeria owners tend to have large databases because we've done always, kind of in our genre of restaurant, a lot of pickup and delivery. So we have a lot of our customers' contact information. This may be a weakness for you that you need to be thinking about moving forward, because if you don't think that Corona may or may not come back, but at some point something else is going to hit, you must have a way of being able to directly communicate with your customer, appeal to them directly, for them to hear from you directly. I hope I repeated myself enough around here. So if that's one of your weaknesses, that may be some projects you need to be working on. Another one that may be more of a threat is that maybe you don't even have as much savings. Some of restaurant owners are realizing that they did not have uh, savings in place to cover their cost for for a month or two. Hopefully they come up with that. They've, I think, finalized the loan idea with the SBA, and I encourage you to study it and discern if you should apply for it. Part of that is because, again, I'm not an attorney or a government person, but it seems like part of the loan, if it's used for rent as well as payroll, they're going to count that as a grant. So if that's going to help, whatever, but you do your due diligence. But if you do not have savings, that is a threat that you need to consider moving forward. You've got to have a strategy in place where you look at your savings week to week, month after month, building that so you're not that stressed in this particular season. The other thing that is exciting to talk about is opportunities. Always when all kinds of stuff happening, there are opportunities. So we need to shift our focus of all that is going wrong, there's a long list of them, to opportunities that we have at this time. So one of the things that I kind of saw, it's a common thing to do, but like some of the meal kit stuff that I saw what's been happening. So this last week I was like, let's put something together for our customers. So we recorded a video even, and we shared in all of our local Facebook groups, and I threw $50 at it, but it was creating some pizza kits. We sold about 200 of them this last week alone, and that brought in about $1,200. Now, that's not too bad, because also customers buy other stuff. I'm saying just a kit alone. But that was a little bit of an experience, people taking our restaurant's experience to their homes, experiencing that with their children and making memories. That is what we're doing. So maybe you've not considered meal kits. I see some restaurants, again, if you're a fine dining, maybe consider that. You know who's winning? Blue Apron and HelloFresh. They have seen, their stocks have gone up because a lot of people are ordering from those folks. So maybe you can put a meal kit together. That's going to, again, we need to be innovative and very nimble. Things are moving fast. So consider doing that. Opportunity is that there is room for improvement in your systems and processes that you can work on. Some places are doing take and bake, even within pizzerias. Maybe that's something to consider as well. These are some of the opportunities. You will know better what are the opportunities where you are. I'm trying to simply shift your focus to think about what are you going to be working on in the month of April so you come out stronger in May. So doing a SWOT analysis was one. Next, we're going to, again, the mission for April, which is the mission that we always have in this business, and that is aggressively increase our sales and aggressively reducing cost, because that combination is going to create that gap where our profit is. If that profit is not much, this is an incredibly stressful hobby. We've talked about that a lot around here, but that is our mission, obviously. So as always, we're going to be looking at opportunities that we have in reducing food costs and reducing labor costs. If it's ever been critical, it is more than ever critical for us to be absolutely on top of it when it comes to these two numbers, because it tends to be our biggest variable cost. You need to be on top of all kinds of numbers in the restaurant, you know that, but these are the two. I'm going to make you some suggestions. Again, if you have the time, it's also important to look around what other restaurants are doing or come up with your own ideas, of course. But for example, how are you going to reduce food costs? Is some establishments are reducing all of their menu offerings. So they're strategically thinking about how are we going to reduce our menu and select popular items, as well as some of those that are not high food costs, or maybe they don't even travel very well. So what's the point of, I'm making stuff up because I really don't know, but like lobster and filet mignon, if it's not going to travel well and it's a very high food cost, right? So you need to be thinking creatively, looking at your menu, and that alone could help with your reducing your food cost. If you've ever been aggressive about reducing waste when it comes to food prep and different stuff, this is the time now. We've always been very aggressive. One of our core values, obviously, is hashtag no waste in our restaurants. But if you've been aggressive before, this is time to get even more aggressive and communicate that to your management team and your kitchen team to reduce waste as much as possible. This is another suggestion to reduce your food cost. The other thing I want to suggest is when it comes to your labor. Your labor percentage, a lot of times your POS system is going to communicate that number to you, which is what is your labor cost. You already know that. Everything has got to be associated with a system or it will not happen consistently, but you already know that. So we had to create a system and we've not been enforcing it as much right now because we're remodeling the restaurant, taking advantage of the fact that the dining room is closed. But every 30 minutes, you need to require your front of the house manager to write on the board, you just put 11, 11:30, all the hours or whatever, maybe the morning shift or the evening shift. And the labor percentage needs to be looked at and written on a whiteboard of what it is. And if it's not within range, your managers need to take action. Because otherwise it gets out of hand. You know what I mean? Once it gets to 30, 35, then there is no winning. By the end of the night, there is no way to win. So that number needs to be looked at every 30 minutes, and you must enforce that. Another thing you can do to reduce your labor cost is to reduce your hours. Now, that I don't necessarily recommend that because I feel like sometimes it just makes it difficult for customers to know when they come in or they cannot come in. After we've been through this right now for a few weeks, so maybe you have a good idea of between 11 to noon, you barely have much sales, or after 8 p.m., everything dies, or whatever it is. So it is your discernment. I've seen restaurants doing it. If you think that would be a good way to reduce your labor, you must discern and decide. But those are some of the talks we had to have and get it out of our way, as you know. Next, we're going to talk about our budget. So now, based on the sales you want to expect, hopefully, and considering all the circumstances, you need to look at your budget for everything. But particularly in this conversation, we're talking about your marketing budget. So you may have had in the past a Facebook ad budget, email marketing, the cost of using the service, text message marketing, using the cost of that service, mailer, if you've had a marketing agency, if you've been donating food in the whatever it is, or food donations, those are all part of your marketing cost if you set up signs in the store and things like that. So it is important to set a budget. You may need to revisit what you always every month, maybe on average spend this much a month on your marketing. You may need to revisit. Now, I'm not telling you to reduce necessarily what you invest in marketing. I'm saying that you need to be incredibly smart about the money that you're spending and have a way of tracking it and making sure that it does indeed work. Otherwise, does that make sense? But marketing is an investment to bring in customers. So please do not go aggressive cutting that as viewing it as a cost when it's an actual, for us at least, it's an investment. The other thing I want to point out to you to please consider is how are you going to appeal to your current customers. On the one hand, I did mention texting and emailing, but I'm going to give you some other thoughts to chew on and think about how you will approach this. Your best bet at this time, friend, is to appeal on an emotional level, because food is emotional, as you know. And for people to make the choice of coming to your restaurant or your competitor's restaurant, it's an emotional decision. It's not necessarily a logical decision. You must have a strategy to appeal to your customers, for them to be like, I do want to give my business to them. These folks are great people. Oh, I really want to help them out. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a local restaurant, you know that we're kind of on our own when it comes to this. So I'm going to give you some ideas to think about. So one question is that you need to make it a no-brainer for your customers to come to you this particular month. This is not the time to cash in and make a lot of money. Maybe it is. It's a lot about survival for many of us. So you need to make them an offer they can't refuse. That's a quote, and a lot of times I use that quote, is from Godfather, as you know. Make them an offer they can't refuse. So how can if you've ever been, you may need to discount your food, but Also, I'm not saying to be reducing it so much. Think about a package deal, maybe a family meal that you can create that makes sense for your customers as well as for you. But it needs to be a no-brainer, because otherwise they're not going to come to you. They're not going to be spending $15 a plate if that's what they used to spend with you. So you need to consider that. Other things that I've mentioned here in the show is that it is critical to show our gratitude to our customers, sending thank you postcards maybe that we handwrite. You can get your servers to do. If you have done delivery this last week, you should have your customers' addresses in your POS system, right? You simply select last week, check the orders that were placed, choose dining option, delivery. I don't know how your POS system works. The hours is kind of like that. You can send thank you emails. You can call your customer, especially if they placed a large order with you this last week. Pick up the phone and you just introduce yourself and you just say, hey, I'm just checking in to see how you're doing. And I wanted to personally thank you so much for ordering from us this last week. I knew you didn't have to. I just wanted to tell you that it meant the world to us and helped our team out. And I wanted you to know that. Wish you the best. God bless. Thank you. And that goes a long way. It takes a minute. If you're not that busy right now at the restaurant, friend, this is the time. And when you're sharing social media posts, which I recommend every single day, we need to be showing up on social media today. It is important to tell stories that are heartwarming. People can see the faces of your staff, faces of you and your family, that what it is that you all are working on, wishing your customer the best. You know what I mean? So these are some of the things, but you need to have a strategy to appeal to your current customers who know you. Hopefully they love you. Remind them how awesome you are and why they need to come and support you. So the other thing, so let's talk about it. We're talking about the month of April. When I plan our month, like planning our whole month, I look at a lot of the special occasions that are going on. Oh, for example, March is Pi Day, or, all the sporting events are shut. So a lot of that is not happening. So my view, at least for us, is we're going to be coming up with 4 specials to entice our customers to come in. That is going to be my focus. So that is the question. What are going to be 4 specials? It could be a combo deal. Again, we own pizzeria, so it's kind of like a pizza and wings. I know that's very popular usually for our restaurants, or pizza and cannoli, or a pasta dish and this. A combo that a family can feed themselves, and usually we come up with it's $20 or $25. A person knows that it's going to cost me $25 to feed my family, and it includes X, Y, Z, or whatever thing it is. So come up with 4 specials that you're going to use to entice your customers to come in. So that's something to work on. Again, if you have the workbook, there is, it's not colorful or anything like that. So you can it's very printer friendly. So you can just print it out and work on that. Just kind of write down what you're going to be working on and your 4 specials. Our next phase, once we have, okay, these are going to be my 4 specials for the month of April, fantastic. The next thing we're going to do is, how are we going to market this month? As in, how are we going to get as many eyeballs on our 4 specials, right? You're going to be placing extra food order for those 4 specials. Your people are going to be prepping for those specials. Then marketing department of the restaurant, if that's your role in the company, is to get as many eyeballs and exposure so everybody in town knows about those specials that you're offering that particular week. So that's what we're going to work on. I got some ideas for you. So first, obviously, is how are you going to market to your current customers? How are you going to make sure your current customers know about this particular special on that week? So for us, it's going to be email marketing. So you have 4 specials. You need to prepare 4 emails this month. Text message marketing, again, 4 texts this month. Are you going to have an in-store sign, maybe by the register, if that's a special you offer? You need to make sure you share those on social media, as well as especially on your local Facebook groups. Some folks send mailers maybe once a month to their list of existing customers. Maybe you have a database of all the addresses of all the restaurants you've done delivery for. And so you can send that mailer sharing the 4 specials for the month of April in a mailer setting. But those are some of the ways you can get get exposure from your current customers. So that's one. Then we're thinking about, okay, new customers. How are we going to get some new customers around here? for them to know you have this special. Some of them, maybe if you have a special that's a no-brainer. So every now and then we do this special that is like a 16-inch one topping, like $12, which is what we do. And it's discounted, but it gets a line out the door. It doesn't matter Corona, it does work because people are able to feed 3 to 4 people. Ours is like a 16-inch, so they can feed 3 to 4 people, their family, for relatively cheap. Then you have got to have an upselling strategy, which I'm going to talk with you in just a second. Getting new customers, one of the ways is having a good content strategy where you're able to get in front of people. Maybe it's going to be Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Maybe you want to do Facebook offer. I don't know if you've ever tried that. Maybe you want to boost those posts. Maybe you want to send a mailer out and choosing a zip code or something like that. So that goes to a lot of folks who don't even know your restaurants. You need to be diligent and smart about at this time how you're going to get new customers. And the reason I'm saying it here is because if you have a deal that is good enough of a deal, people are like, you know what, I've heard about Joe's Pizza or Joe's Burgers. I've passed by them a lot of times, but they got this offer, and I'd like to check them out. They're a local restaurant. You know what I mean? So at that, you need to know the approach you have. So that could bring in people, new customers for you. Last but not least, very important, friend, we have got to, the way we market is how are we going to market to increase our average ticket? One of the ways to grow our sales is always to increase our average ticket. You already know that, and we talk about that. More than ever, it is critical for us to have a upselling game plan. You need to have a conversation with your team, with your front of the house manager. Maybe we could focus on simple things like double toppings. If someone people order like 16-inch pepperoni, again, in a pizza setting, think about how it would work for your restaurant. Whatever people order 90% of the time, how can you up that? It's like, hey, would you like double pepperoni? Or would you like extra cheese, for example? That is increasing your ticket a little bit. It could be burger, it could be whatever thing it is. How can they upsell just a little bit? Obviously, offering appetizer, dessert, you already know that. Other ways of increasing your average ticket at this time is 4 walls. So again, if you could have a sign, about your delicious tiramisu, if that's what you're serving. And again, when your server is saying, hey, have you tried our tiramisu before? Or would you like a tiramisu or a slice of our cheesecake? They're able to point to a picture of your delicious food, maybe next to your register. That's an idea. Social storytelling. Think about how can you share delicious looking desserts or things that you making in-house in light of, hey, have you tried it? Maybe next time for them to add it to their order. That is kind of what it is. So you're telling stories specifically to upsell and highlight certain items in your restaurant. Your website, it could be above the fold. When somebody comes in to place an online ordering, they're able to see pictures of your desserts or things that, again, it's an added on for people to do. The specials that you offer can be crafted in a way that ultimately is increasing your average ticket, right? So that's another thing to think about as well. So we talked about a lot of things today because there's a lot going on this month, as you know. And I hope that I've not overwhelmed you because that is not my desire. I'd like you to think about, and so I wanted to simplify this process here real quick. So this is going to be our dough making action plan. It's going to be a few steps to take. And after this, again, I really would like you to download the worksheet that comes with this in the description below and fill it out. And there you can print it and fill it out. So I hope that you conducted your SWOT analysis for your restaurant. Determine what projects should we be working on to steer this ship. Okay, is there going to be one of your weaknesses that you're going to work on or one of the opportunities? Those are some of the things we're going to be working on ourselves as well this month, as I mentioned. You've got to determine your April marketing budget. So you are revising that. Maybe you used to spend $1,000, maybe it's going to be $700, depending on where you're at. This is just going to be again, I would not like you to chop it off that much. We need to be smart about where the money goes. Determine 4 no-brainer specials that they cannot refuse, right? We talked about that. So choose 4 specials and then think about how are you going to, what's the one way that you can get these specials that you came up with each week in front of your existing customers. We shared different ways to do that. How are you going to get it in front of new customers and how will you increase your average ticket, right? This is what I'd like you to work on. It may take you an hour or 2, but that's going to be our time investment steering this ship as the captain, figuring out what is going to be our game plan. We are here and it is what it is. And I wanted to share with you a quote by Napoleon Bonaparte, and that is victory belongs to the most persevering. This is the season we're in that all of us, and I said, you may have a bigger ship than we do. You may have one ship. You may have 10 ships. Some are smaller, some are bigger. We are on this big ocean, and we're just, there is this huge storm, and right now is happening in here. Some ships have leaks. Some ships may be too big, but they're actually, again, have leaks and they're crashing. Some smaller ones. After, in the next few months, some of us will not be here. So if you want to be here and if you want to be standing and continue to grow your sales, it's going to take an aggressive amount of action on our part, especially if you are leading your company, you're leading your restaurant, in having a strategy in place to get us out of here. So that's what I'm saying about steering this ship. It is incredibly difficult and stressful. I wanted to tell you that I probably personally have not had a good night's sleep for the last 2 weeks. I get up in the middle of the night, I'm wide awake, and I'm gonna try to relax myself. It's not been really too bad for us. I mean, we've not gotten that big of a sales dip by God's grace. It's been about 12%, but I just don't know what April holds, right? So I don't know about you. You may be getting stressed or whatever. But one thing we need to know is one thing is our view of this situation. Is it wrong? Is it right? Is it a hoax? Is it real? They should have done this. This is all of this here and our opinion and stress about it. The other side is what matters, and that is we fighting and punching back, right? We're in this boxing ring, and as restaurant owners, we're getting a few punches, and it's hurting a lot, but it is time to be aggressive and not slow down. That is one request I have for you. Do not slow down at this time. Be aggressive about being on social media, even if your restaurant is closed. You can be working on reviewing your employee handbooks. You can be, put in a fresh paint, take pictures, share it on social, that you're preparing the restaurant for your customers. Did you miss your customers and seeing their faces and seeing the little kids that come in and maybe play in the arcade area? Or do you know what I mean? It is time not to, and those who do slow down, friend, may not be here in a few months. These are serious, tough times. And thank you for tuning in. I hope that this whole session was helpful. And if there is absolutely any way that we can be of help, please reach out to me. And my email is team@makingdoughshow.com. I check that email myself as well as my team. And if there's any way I can be of help, I'd be happy to. Again, we're in the same ocean as you are. And if you need help with your text message marketing, I'd be happy to help as well. In the meantime, know that we have a lot of resources on our website, makingdoughshow.com. A lot of one that I have in here, it's 52 ideas, a year's worth of marketing ideas to grow your restaurant sales. It's 52 ideas, 52 weeks of the year. That is a fantastic resource to apply and implement and make some dough. So check out our website, makingdoughshow.com. And with that, I wish you and your family much success in the month of April 2020 and beyond. And now with that, let's get back to work and make some dough. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.